We are live. So hello, everyone. It's just us right now. So this is a good time to go share.
All right. Share. Is this on the SheConfidential?
It is, and I'm about to go on my page and share. But yeah, you should see it live on SheConfidential.
Yep, I do it. Yep.
Well.
Shit. Sorry.
Oh, I'm glad you did that because that reminds me that I need to mute or turn my volume off. That reminds me that I need And so it's also on my page if you can't locate it on SheConfidential.
No, I got it. I'm just putting a caption with it. First. Okay. All right.
Hello to all who have joined us. Please share with your buddies because we are going to have a really lively, interesting conversation. So Jackie has been in on the latest Facebook post that I did last night. So we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about any and everything that these two come up with. So for those who are with us right now, I just want to introduce everyone tonight. So my name is Charlene Ketchum, host of On Her Terms Defined, and we've got new episodes every Thursday. And also with me is Miss Jacqueline Greely. She is a life and sexuality coach and with Mirror Vision Coaching. And you can follow her on Facebook and Instagram at Mirror Vision Coaching. And I've also got Mr. Jorge Tostadas. And he is the host of the show that will be launching on June the 1st.
Tuesday.
So yes, Tuesday is the big day. Are you ready?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be big. We got a lot to talk about.
So, and I'm going to ask you this at the end and in the middle so that people who are joining us at different points can hear this. But where will they be able to find you, and what time and when?
Time is actually still to be determined. I'm teetering between times, but I will definitely put that information out as soon as possible. It will be on Tuesday, and I'm going to air it live on YouTube and Facebook. At some point, I'll get another device and try and do it those two as well as Instagram. But right now, we're gonna keep it simple. I'm just getting started.
Yes, and they'll just go to your page. Okay, yeah. So you're gonna tell us your YouTube channel and all that stuff.
Everything is Jorge Tostadas. Just look up Jorge Tostadas, and just the same as we're doing here. I'll share it live, share the links and all that kind of stuff. So,
and I'll be following it. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I will be following.
This conversation is going to be a good one. I won't reveal it just yet. I'll reveal the title of it later on. But
I was like, we can't get a teaser. So y'all, for those of y'all who are just
a little taste.
Yeah, we trying to get George to give us first peek. That's what people.
You're gonna get the first peek. You get
of the June 1st debut of Talking My Shit. So yeah.
Ooh. We're gonna talk some shit.
So later. So y'all have to hang with us for the entire time tonight.
Absolutely.
I said he's going to give us that teaser, the taste, before the night is over. So y'all grab your wine, grab your water, kick your kids in another room because this is adult conversation.
21 and over.
Yes.
I mean, unless you want your kids to learn something from you instead of the streets, then keep them in the room. It's up to you.
Put your kids in another room. I grew up when kids weren't around, when grown folks were having conversations. Now people sit and they drink with their 5-year-olds on the couch next to them. But I didn't grow up like that.
We do it a little different.
Yeah. It's very, very different now. So,
Absolutely.
George, did you get a chance to look at my Facebook post from last night?
The one where the pregnant girl was proposing to the guy?
Yes.
Yeah, I glanced at it.
What you think?
I personally would have said, baby, get your ass up. That's not what we're gonna do. I understand that we're changing and we're getting a lot of newness about everything that we're doing, and I'm all for that. But and I'm not saying that I'm upset with the women that are proposing. I just feel like there should be better communication between those two, because if the woman got to propose, then the communication is off. I mean, I feel like obviously there's a reason that the guy's not proposing. So, ladies, if you're thinking that you need to hurry the process up by proposing, you should have a conversation with your man and find out what's taking us so long. And by no means should you be getting your pregnant ass on one knee to propose to a dude. I'm against it.
That's what kind of hurt me the most. Seeing this woman pregnant and on bended knee, I'm just like, oh, maybe it's the hormones that drove her to it. Really deep in thought, Jackie.
Jackie.
So I like I said on the post, I get it, but I'm not going to do it. At one angle, it does look staged. Like his reaction was kind of like, oh, like like the typical,
like a female,
right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, surprise.
She probably was like, what the.
Right. So it at first it looked.
I mean, that's not how men get shot, Charlene.
Right. So I was just kind of like, is this a staged, is this a staged proposal or picture, because everybody's doing things for the gram.
Mm-hmm.
But, and as I said in my post, or in my comment, that if our society wasn't based so much on like traditional gender roles, like if we were in a different culture, in a different society, as a Black woman, I think our marriage rates would be higher for those who are heterosexual and want to get married. Black women, statistically, we are the highest of no marriages even by a certain age. And if a Black woman wants to be married, she's either waiting for that man, as George said, if it's been like a year or two and there's been no discussion or he's not leaning towards marrying you, she's going to continue to wait or to continue to have his children and not get what she wants. Whereas if the culture was different, where if it was more, maybe not so much gender roles, but just there wasn't a man has to ask, what have you, women would probably do this. We would probably see this more often. We would see more women proposing to men because most of us do want to be married and we're waiting around for men to get it together or to choose us or to, want to make that commitment. There's always an order to things, right? And if you are heterosexual, then that is typically the order. Man propose, is supposed to be the covering of the household, of the family. So he's supposed to take that charge. But if he's not making that commitment, what are we, again, as Black women supposed to do? Are we supposed to wait until we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s and waiting longer in life to get married? Are we wanting to stay with Black men only and wait until a Black man decides to want to be with us to marry us? Or do we open up our dating pool and, have what we want, but it's not what you grew up thinking, having your typical or your fairy tale Black love? So, like I said, I get it, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Why isn't the option to not wait though? Because even if the woman proposes to the man, if he's not ready, even if he says yes, you're really setting yourself up for failure. So why is the option to not, one of the other options that I'd add in there is because I don't think that we should wait. I think that we do it. I've done it. You stay with somebody and you think, okay, one day. And then you realize maybe not one day. And you realize the value of your time and your emotion. Because while you're waiting, you're constantly pouring into this person. And meanwhile, you start becoming disillusioned about love and you start getting a little bitter. But for me, it's never crossed my mind, maybe I should propose to him. No, what crossed my mind was, I need to let this go. And I need to figure out how to sever this tie once and for all, because me asking the question still doesn't make him ready. It just means now I got a married problem. Yes, George. You ain't got to raise your hand all day.
I'm not. Trust me. But here's the thing. All right. I said this on all our shows. It comes down to the communication. And not just the communication, but then the understanding of what we're communicating. So, Miss Jacqueline, it's my first time meeting you, okay, on this podcast. So I meet you. Hey, how you doing? You're a beautiful lady. Can I take you out? Okay, so when you go on a date, that initial date is the getting to know each other process. All right. So as you spoke earlier, there's an order. So in that order, I'm not saying I want to marry you the first time I meet you, but I would like to know what your plans are in life. You know what I'm saying? I need to know if you're gonna stay around for a while, or if you just somebody I'm finna hit and say, all right, it was good to meet you, and then you going on and find your husband because I'm not him. But that's the communication, that's the conversation that I would have, to where I'm not leading a woman on to thinking that I'm going to marry her. You know that you're wasting your time with me if I'm telling you in the beginning I'm not looking for marriage, or I'm not looking to be married in the next 2 or 3 years because I'm trying to build this business, or blah, 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 blah. But the conversation, the communication, not just let's fuck and then we get all entangled into our feelings to where all we doing is fucking. The next thing I know, we together. But hold on, I didn't actually sign up to be with you. We just were having sex on a regular basis, and now I'm trapped into a relationship. So it comes back to the communication. So if they would have communicated better, the young lady and the man in that picture, I feel like she wouldn't be on her knees. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like we gotta actually start communicating better, and that's where I'm gonna start it off with.
I agree. I think communication definitely is paramount. Whatever type of situationship, relationship, whatever you're doing, because it can start out as we just fucking, like friends with benefits, fuck buddies. This is what we do. I'm not ready to be in a relationship, because it can go both ways, because women can want that same thing. We just want some companionship. But if it's, completely agree, if it's not talked about when things are visibly starting to shift, like they're asking you some questions where, why do you need to know where I am? Like, that's not what we do. So let's have a conversation about that. And I think too, women, we are nurturers. So we want to change. We want to change men. We want to change you, or we want to be able to love you or be that different woman that woman that's different from the others that will make him say she's different, and or whatever she's doing is going to change him, it's going to change his mind. And when that gets into the equation, she's kind of forgotten the fact that this is just a hookup. Like, this is just a temporary thing. Or it could be, you know, for years, but this is what it is. And I'm out doing my own thing and you're out doing your own thing. And when we see each other, it's, hey, good times, and going about my business. But emotions are difficult. And especially if you are not willing to have honest communications, if you're not willing to be honest with yourself and say, well, my feelings have changed. So because my feelings have changed, I need to remove myself from the situation. Instead of doing that, it's, let me try to change him to see my way of things. Or vice versa, because, you know, again, like I said, women kind of want the same thing too. And there are some men who may be like, well, let me change her mind. I've not met those types, but they could be out there.
In response to that, I just was looking on our Ms. Higgs said that comprehension is also important, and I said that because I can communicate, hey, I just want to have sex, you know, I want to do all this other stuff, but then 3 months later, after we've been having sex, and I'm noticing that our conversation is so good, now we can communicate something different than we did 3 months ago when I first met you. Now it's like, you know what, I actually think you're kind of cool, and you know, I'm not saying I want to start a relationship just yet, but I am noticing that I can see you around a lot more. You know, we communicate well. We don't argue with each other. I understand you, you understand me. I listen to you, you listen to me. Like, our communication is good to a point to where we understand the comprehension, and we're in agreement of where we want to go, because I want to go left and you want to go right. So now this is where we're going to go ahead and part. You know what I'm saying? But that all comes back to the honesty. Like you said a minute ago, you have to be honest with yourself. And Charlene, you can admit, I've been saying this on the last 2 or 3 shows too. You got to be honest with yourself. I know now at almost 40 years old exactly what I want and what I don't want. Not exactly. I ain't gonna say exactly. I mean, you know, we all still trying to figure certain things out. But in trying to figure it out, I know what I want as far as a relationship goes. I've been married before. And after being married, I know that marriage was just not what I thought it was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? It actually gave me somewhat of a sour taste in my mouth about marriage. But I am very pro-love. So now when we're talking about marriage, let's not just be talking about marriage now. Is this a business deal we doing, or is this I love you marriage? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of communication that has to come into what we want to do, because like you said earlier, you don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste time trying to build some shit with a person that in 3 years you're gonna be off the map. You know what I'm saying? If this is just a temporary thing, let's communicate that. If this is gonna be something long term, then let's understand that we got to do some work. And that's what I think a lot of people lack. A lot of people don't want to do the hard. And I'll even admit, it's a lot of men that don't want to have the hard conversations with the women, because we feel like, well, you don't understand what I'm saying. And, you know, that communication goes back and forth. You don't understand what I'm saying. You don't understand that I need something. And it's like, well, God damn it. Well, let me listen to you and you listen to me. But that's why I go back to the original conversation. I listen to you, you listen to me, we talk, and we be honest with each other. But most importantly, we be honest with ourselves.
I think that's easier said than done a lot of times. We give a lot. I mean, those sound like really great sound bites, and it's not like knocking what you just said, but when we talk about even knowing what you want, sometimes you don't really know until you like in it. Because even let's talk about the hookups for a minute. I mean, when you are those friends with benefits, and we were talking about soul ties. Was that last week? Was it Jackie? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're talking about soul ties, and I understand that the concept of soul ties is often used to control women, using it from a Christian or religious perspective. And I don't subscribe to that. But when we think about having sex as a transfer of energy, and you're looking at these expectations that you come into it with. You might meet this person, say you meet at a party, you like, oh, okay, this person's sexy, we hook up, and you go into it with no expectations because it's pure lust at that point. But you like it, it's real good. So you do it again, and then you do it again, and you start having attachment because we have chemical releases that create attachments to other people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people get confused because those chemical releases can make you think they mimic love. And so you may think, I love this person, but really, no, it's just you love the way you feel when you're being physically intimate with that person.
Which goes back to being honest with yourself is the most important thing, because you know whether or not if what you in is good or not. You just not being honest enough with yourself to say, you know what, this situation ain't working for me. This situation ain't really going nowhere.
Well, but you don't necessarily know that. And so that's what I mean. Like, it sounds...
In most cases, Charlene,
No, I'm saying when you first meet somebody, and I'm not gonna say all that. But okay, so you first meet somebody, you hook up with this person, and you all are continuing to have this friends with benefits arrangement. You don't necessarily know right off the bat.
Wrote a whole novel.
Like, okay, we're gonna have to pause and like read this. Okay, because I know she always says good things, so it's like we have to read this. So for people watching,
that means it's gonna be good.
Yeah. So like everybody watching the replay, like, will this fit? Okay. Well, now it's really small. I can't read it. Okay, we're gonna read this first, like in the big spot, and then I'll put it on the screen so people watching the replay are able to see this comment that we are going to dig into.
Charlene, I should have got that light bulb. I feel like I'm dark, but go ahead.
Well, see, and my thing, like the ring, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm tired too. But
this light bulb, I think it's one of my dimmer ones.
Well, you can do it. I mean, you can get it.
No, I'm gonna do it in a minute. Okay, check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and read what Tiffany wrote real quick. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay, here's what's interesting. Oh, I'm quoting Tiffany, by the way. Here's what's interesting. Men control the ebb and flow in dating. I don't know what ebb is.
Ebb and flow. Up in the rhythm.
Give and take.
Oh, okay. Teach me something. Shit, I'm learning. All right. Women have to wait for men to get serious about them, but in marriage, women control the tone more, which is why sometimes married men complain that their spouse was sexual in the courtship, but then start rationing sex once they were married. Though a lot more goes into marriage than can impact the sex, life, kids, responsibility, etc. Facts.
Absolutely. And therein lies the imbalance, because men are controlling or taking the lead in that dating role. And so a lot of women, to go to your point, Jackie, a lot of women feel like I'm waiting on him. And in that waiting, women do everything under the sun because they want him to see that I'm the one, pick me. So you're cooking for him, you giving him the best sex, you might be doing all these tricks, and you're showing him all his attention and love and affection because you want him to pick you. Then once you get picked, and again, we're speaking in generalities. I recognize that this doesn't apply to everyone, but then when you get picked, reality sets in. It's like, okay, as Tiffany noted, you've got kids, you got real responsibility. Everything is warm and fuzzy and romantic when you don't have bills to really deal with, when y'all ain't got to sit down and talk about this kid who might need extra help in school, this one who's like super hyper and driving you crazy, and all these different bills, and then you don't like his mama, and all these different dynamics that are very real. That kind of dulls the romance a little bit.
Right.
So you might think it's going to be a certain way getting into it, but the reality is often a bit different.
And I think that also speaks to the point that, or the fact that we romanticize marriage, right? Like, it's a romanticized thing where it's going to be rainbows and unicorns and there won't be any issues. We won't yell at one another. We won't get mad. Like, it's a fairy tale. And then, 3 months in, you like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, who is this person?
Okay, and then that's the first test. That's the first test to me. When I'm dating, when I meet a new young lady, I'm taking note of everything. How long before we actually have our first disagreement? How well do we handle our first disagreement? You know what I'm saying? Like Tiffany's right. Men do take a little longer to get to this point of maturity when it comes to relationships and how women and men are, because we're just a lot more simple with things, and we feel like women making more things making it a little bit more difficult with certain things than our simple minds want it to be. But that still doesn't negate the fact that being honest with yourself about what you're seeing when them red flags pop up, you can see the red flags, but we don't talk about the green flags enough. Oh, he opens my doors for me. Oh, he asked if I wanted something. Oh, he's doing this good. But then, as soon as he hung up on me, I don't know, I just came up with something. He hung up on me, and now I'm mad and I'm pissed about it because I'm a brat and I just want to be mad about it. It's like, no, don't be a brat. Now be an adult. And I'm not saying that it's right to hang up. That's just a general pop up in my head situation. But how do we handle that is where this more important stuff comes in, because we haven't gotten to the kids and the responsibilities yet. We're still in the first 3 months of knowing each other. And I'm paying attention to all my red flags. I need to see, oh, you know what? You got an attitude problem. I don't like your attitude. I can't deal with it. Oh, you're not this. Oh, you're not that. And you being honest with yourself and saying, some of this stuff I can deal with. Some of this stuff is not deal withable. Some of this stuff is fixable. Some of this stuff is not. You know what I mean? It's like you really have to have these real conversations with yourself, which is where I go back to: be honest with yourself. You said it. I'm gonna keep saying that because you said it's a good sound bite. It's not a sound bite. It's real. The only person that can control your feelings and emotions is you. I ain't got shit to do with it. I literally had a conversation with a young lady recently. We dated back in the day, and we knew what we were getting ourselves into. She caught feelings, and then it wasn't just the fact that she caught feelings, but it was the way she caught the feelings. And I said, okay, well, this is not our agreement, and I think I should back away. She admitted to me years later, I was more willing to tell everybody that you was fucked up because I didn't want to deal with myself on what I did. And I was like, wow, that's big on you taking the accountability. But she had to grow into that, just like men got to grow into shit, which is universal. We all got to grow. You know what I'm saying?
I was thinking the same thing too. Like, even though we and I agree, it's not a soundbite, and we do, and because I said it, we need to be honest with ourselves. But I think we are constantly evolving, and there are sometimes that there are things that we don't want to recognize, we don't want to deal with, we don't want to
Charlene
see the forest through the trees. Like we say, right? We say the things that are good. We say what everybody else is saying, but does that really resonate with our spirit? We don't really know who we are in our essence, where we can say, no, that really is me being honest, and I need X, Y, and Z. What we think we want has been influenced by so much outside noise that sounds like we're being honest with ourselves. But if we don't truly take time to do an evolutionary process of learning who we are, like questioning things, questioning our religion, questioning our sexuality, questioning our belief in family structure and all of that. If we don't have an analytical nature about life, which includes ourselves, then we can be honest about ourselves to a certain point, but it may not be. So I appreciate the fact that she told you, George, like, it was easier to just be like, he was the culprit, when it was actually her, or she wasn't able to fully accept what it was, because that would mean that she would have to be like, yeah, I was fucked up.
Yeah.
So how important is that to be able to call yourself out and say, you know what, I'm fucked up. I need to change. Because that's that being honest with yourself shit. Because when I always say it, and I'll continue to say it to the day I die. You cannot lie to that mirror. I can lie to y'all right now, but when I go look in the mirror, that dude looking back at me like, man, you know I know the truth, right?
Yeah.
You know I know the truth, right? That's what the mirror be doing.
And see, and I want to speak to like, and sound bites are not that they're not true. It's just it's a snapshot of what's good, but we have to expand on that. And that's what we're doing. We're going deeper with like the really nice sound bites that people are like, oh yeah, I need to be real with myself. What does that mean? Like a lot of people say that, but they don't know what it is.
I'm sorry.
But no, and to speak to Tiffany's point, where she said unrealistic expectations are problematic too on both sides. I agree, because not knowing the details of your situation, George, but what I have seen a lot of times with men is with some men, and women do it too. People want to have their cake and eat it too. Mm-hmm. So you'll enter into this arrangement and you'll say, well, I told this person I don't want to commit. I told them. But you see that they start catching feelings and you keep fucking them. And you say, I told them that I don't want a commitment. I don't want a commitment. This person's telling you, I love you. They crying over you. They doing all this stuff that's showing you that they're invested, and you keep fucking them. But because you can go back to, I told them, yeah, that ain't being real. That ain't being real.
I agree with you.
And people, we've also got to hold that accountability back. I mean, and you absolutely, if you take accountability, to go to Matria's point, yeah, you take accountability of yourself, you'll save yourself a lot of heartaches and headaches. But at the same time, we also, as human beings, like, try not to do harm to folks, and it'll save you some headaches as well. Because if you see somebody, the quote unquote agreement is shifting, like Tiffany said, yeah, everybody has a plan until they get hit. Yeah,
I can speak on that.
Start shifting, you need to readjust. So 100%. Not say, okay, well, I told this person what it was and they caught feelings, and so I continue. No, you need to shift and completely retreat at that point. And I don't think people do that enough, because they can rest their laurels on, I kept it real and I told this person. And it's not to say that that person has the right to then say, oh, well, you did me wrong because my feelings shifted and you didn't love me back, or you didn't, become exclusive with me. But you also need to take, and I'm saying you, I'm speaking in generalities, but people have to take responsibility for recognizing this person wants more than I can give them. Let me save myself some drama and leave them alone. Why are we doing that?
I remember, so I had a friends with benefits situation a few years ago where when we met, he was straight up. He was like, I am a bachelor. I've had my kids. I'm not looking to be married. I can give you a good time. And he was true to that. And when it got to the point where there were times where that energy would be so strong, like we'd have to kind of catch ourselves and be like, okay, let's pull back, because I knew that I was not going to get from him what I wanted. I wanted the family. I wanted the babies. I wanted all that. I knew I wasn't going to get that from him. And I'm not the type of person to be manipulative and try to trap somebody into being with me. Either you need to do that on your own accord. So it wasn't like, let me try to change his mind. But those moments too, there were moments where, I saw him out at the casino with some other chick, and I was like, let me put this grip on him right quick to remember who I am. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, but if I wasn't his girlfriend. He wasn't my boyfriend. It wasn't, and over the year, because it was like it was something that worked for us, right? So like it lasted for a while, and there were moments where we just had to kind of do those pop-ins, like, this is what we're doing, right? your feelings haven't changed, my feelings haven't changed, but as far as like extending it into a relationship, this is what we are. We are friends with benefits. We enjoy each other's company. You know what I'm saying? But that's it. Like, you know, couple weeks hit you up, great. Go out to dinner, great. But I wasn't looking for him to be my man after a certain point because he was straight up. And we had those check-ins where, no, I'm still bachelor. I don't want any, and I was like, okay, you can give me what I need until I find what I want. It's a mutually beneficial relationship.
So is that us being fully true to ourselves and not speaking like about your arrangement, but when we have to like pull ourselves back emotionally and repress what we really want, because that's one of the reasons, like George and I have talked about this. Like that's why I was like, I'm on a dating hiatus, because I don't want to date somebody for years. I won't date somebody for years again that is not, they're not looking for a wife. If you're not looking for a wife, I don't want to date you, because I'm looking for a husband. And so I have to be really intentional about that. And the sucky side of it means that the things that I might have entertained once at a time, I can't entertain that because that's not going to give me what I want. So I think it's kind of hard. And we have to have a real conversation too about like, what are we losing when we enter into these agreements or these arrangements? Because you've got to pull yourself back emotionally. Because if you are a person who desires marriage or exclusivity or a spouse, and you're in arrangements where that person doesn't want that, is that helping you? Or, I mean, I know it's like scratching an itch, but is that being fully true to ourselves when we're having to like repress the development of natural feelings? Like that seems really complicated.
Life is complicated.
Life is complicated. Me personally, and again, having that process of really getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
That's important.
Because this is going to come up, right? I know me growing up, my friends used to tease me like, Jackie, you move like a dude because you just in and out. But, and so I kind of have this, I don't really put my emotions into it. I'm able to kind of see what it is for what it is. And I'm not tainted by romanticism. So I can say like, this is what this is. It's not giving me what I want, but I can decide how I want to be invested. Me having this person on the side, or not even on the side, but in my life, doesn't take away from the fact that I can meet and entertain other people. Some people can't handle that. Some people cannot emotionally do that, and that's fine.
So that's good. Let me ask you a question to that real quick. Do you want to be with a man that's insecure?
No.
Exactly. So when you're stating those facts to him, like, hey, I'm out here doing my thing, that's where you're supposed to pay attention to how his insecurity levels are. You see what I'm saying? So I understand that everything that I say is a little it's easier said than done. I get that.
You got to clarify that for me. So how is he insecure? So if you say to a man that I'm not looking to commit, I'm just doing my thing, and he doesn't like that, that means he's insecure.
Okay, check it out. You say to a man, hey, I'm not trying to be committed. I'm out here doing my thing. If he hits you with the same line that women try and hit you with, like, oh, you only supposed to be with me, or he acting jealous when if he knows what it is, like she just said, we know what we're doing here. We're just passing time with each other. We're not trying to get anything serious or even specific. So therefore, this is literally just you come over, we take our clothes off, we hump it up, you put your clothes on, I'll see you next time. It's as simple as that. But then if a person starts to try and make it any kind of difficult in their communication, saying things like, well, I want to stay tonight, or well, why you gotta Why don't you hang with me instead of why your phone beep? I don't know, any insecure fucking thing that can happen, because everybody got to deal with their own shit. This is where I come back to being honest with yourself. I dealt with my own shit on every level. So don't get me wrong, I'm still human. I still have my anger moments. I still have my insecure moments. I still have my whatever other moments. But I've checked my shit to a level to where it's not going to affect somebody else. It only affects me. And then when it affects me, I deal with it on whatever level I need to deal with it on. So if me and Jackie are dating and we know that, hey, all we doing is fucking, I don't have the right to ask her or do anything other than, unless we have a conversation that says, hey, some shit is changing. We've been fucking for 3 months, and I kind of really enjoy your company. Your conversation's good. I notice I don't want to kick it with these other girls. Are you still on the level of, this is where we at, or are you feeling the same thing I'm feeling? I'm still just kind of out here enjoying myself. Well, Jackie, I'm be honest with you. I'm catching feelings, so I'm gonna fall back. It's my own responsibility to do that. Yes. So when she says certain things about when you catching somebody else in a situation, it's not that person's responsibility to fall back. I'm going back to what you was asking me earlier. It's not my responsibility to fall back if me and her fucking and we already had our agreement. I can't see her feelings. She hiding them from me. So the more you hiding your feelings from me, I'm thinking everything all good. You over there secretly catching feelings and secretly building this shit up to a point to where when I do decide I want to walk away from you, oh man, we got a big problem now. You know what I'm saying? Wait, baby, I thought we was in an agreement that all we were doing was fucking. Now, when the hell did all of this screaming and hollering at me come about? I don't remember signing up for that. It comes back to the green flags that I'm talking about and the red flags. I'm bringing that back up because that's a point that I want to bring into this conversation. You know your red flags, and when you see your red flags, if you choose to ignore it, that's on you. You don't blame the other person. You got to start taking accountability for what the fuck you got yourself involved in as an adult. And don't get me wrong, if the motherfucker misled you and manipulated you and lied and everything else, then that's on them. As long as you do what you're supposed to do, then you holding your own. You doing what you're supposed to do, and you can walk away with a free and clear conscience. Let that negative energy go to that other person on what they did. And when me and the girl had the conversation, I never had an issue with it. And I did walk away with a clear conscience. The only thing that really made me feel better about my clear conscience was her coming back and finally saying, yeah, it was me.
That was ego.
See, you always got to find something, Charlene. You always got to find something.
No, because here's what I do. I dissect words. I would drive you crazy, George.
That's probably your problem. That might be your issue.
That's
you can't dissect the words.
Well, here's the thing. You're not gonna tell me some shit. I'm not gonna break it down. That's why. What do you mean by this word? What do you mean by that? Because I'm trying to make sure that's communicating. Sure. I'm trying to make sure I understand.
Are you comprehending it the way I'm giving it to you? Because remember, we had this conversation. You don't want to take the message sometimes. Remember?
No, I did not say that. No. I'm gonna punch you in your eye when I see you. So no.
She choosing violence, y'all. She choosing violence today.
What did I do?
Okay, audience, I don't hit men. I'm joking with George, who's like a brother.
No, she's gonna kill me. I'm
brother, sister, violence.
If something happened to me, y'all, it's on tape.
No, this is a situation you can be honest with me. But no, I do. I listen. I try to really listen and understand because people will make statements, and I'm like, let me make sure I'm following you. So when you use this word, what you mean by this? What you mean by that? And because I'm really trying to understand how you're thinking, how you processing this, so that I can be authentic and consistent in my response. So that's why I'm asking nitpicky sort of questions, which men don't like that. A lot of men, I'm working on that, George, you see. A lot of men don't like that because they feel like you're picking at them, and it's not me picking at them. It's me trying to understand what you mean and what your intentions are. And Tiffany, we're gonna dig into your comment in a second. But first, I want to ask Jackie and George. Like, I feel like, and I know I'm a big romantic. My sister says that all the time, but I don't understand why we have this, like, I think we become so like feminists that being romantic or even wanting anything that's remotely resembling tradition is like bad now. And we're going, for me, is going too far to the other side. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm okay with women who want to be homemakers. Like somebody said on the status I had posted with the photo, like, what if I had wanted my wife to be barefoot and pregnant all the time? Is that okay? If your wife is okay with that, then yes, that's perfectly acceptable. I'm not that female that's saying that women should not be taken in the house and taking care of their family if that's what they choose to do. I'm also in favor of saying you get to define what type of power dynamics and relationship dynamics you have with your partner. For me, me proposing to a man is out of balance because I would rather be more submissive when it comes to my relationship with my man.
Mm-hmm.
That is a role where I'm in a dominant role that I don't think that I should be in.
Exactly.
Relationship dynamics to function in that in a way that meets my expectations, because I'm not going to feel safe if I'm doing that. Because the thing of it is, before you have a marital proposal, regardless of who's doing it, you should be having many conversations before that.
Yeah.
So you kind of know by the time you ask, you know what the response is going to be. So we've already talked about this. And so I shouldn't, like, I think a few people said, well, maybe the woman was proposing because she's trying to figure out where they stand. You don't propose to figure out where you stand with somebody.
That's why I stopped reading comments, boy. People say some dumbass shit. I don't even want to know.
Well, no, but I won't call it, because again, you have to figure everybody's positions are informed based on their life experiences and their needs. Like people think that like in a relationship that I will be super bossy and all that. I'm actually the opposite in a relationship than I am in everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, that's how I get my balance. I don't want to be dictating everything to my man when I'm type A personality with everything else. Right. So I don't want to be type A in that. So the idea for me of proposing, yes, I have romantic ideas about what I want that to look like, because I'm a romantic person. But also for me, how I need to receive love and feel safety and security that's just not conducive to that. So yeah, and Latria said, I look at proposing as we are taking away from the man the role in the relationship. We have gotten so independent that we don't let the man be the man in the relationship. You can't say I need a strong man or a good man, but you won't let him be the man in the relationship. I agree. I agree. It's like we're so caught on like everything has to be neutral and ambiguous that it's like we don't want men to be their traditional masculinity. And I think we have to really kind of self-correct and find balance on that. And Jackie, you do a lot of talking and work in this area, so you might be really good at helping us kind of dissect that a little bit. Like, am I just misreading this trend of us wanting to soften men a lot in their power in their power role, or women being taking this independence?
No, I think you're very much on trend, and as you were talking, I was thinking, those who want to stand in their femininity, in their submission to a man, to an order, to a balance, are vilified for wanting that. And that I don't believe is fair. I do a lot of work in so my it's not a niche, but just what I love to talk about is BDSM and polyamorous relationships within people's sexuality, and being in a dominant submissive kink relationship for about 2.5 years. It's not there is in that lifestyle and that love style, there is a population of people who follow male dominated or male led households or what have you. So it's your traditional, male leading the household, male leading the relationship, the women, the women are submissive and are honored for that, yes, we are often in our alpha personality in work, in our families, but we don't want to have that carried over into our households. And it's not being a doormat. It's not being taken as weak. Being submissive is a strong personality trait because you are yielding your will, so to speak, to the leadership of someone else and trusting that that person is going to protect you. It's the same as what people don't understand about BDSM and dominant submissive relationships is that it's very much, it has a lot of Christianity principles because you are talking about head of household, you're talking about transfer of leadership, you're talking about men stepping up and being in their roles to protect and guide and provide for their families. And so when people balk at, the word submissive, I'm like, well,
yeah,
you go to church and same thing, but because being submissive is given a vilified persona, right? It whatever woman says she wants to willingly step into that role and to allow a man to be a man in her life, in her relationship, she's being accused of being weak or being accused of not knowing what she wants. But she very much so knows what she wants because I'm not going to choose, right? I'm not going to choose, or you're not going to choose, or any other woman who wants to be in her feminine nature and be protected and be provided for. I'm going to make sure that the person I choose to do that with he has a job that can provide for us and whatever children we may have or he may have coming into the relationship. What are his goals for the future, right? Like, so we just, do you not have anything that you want to do? So it's this unfair assumption that choosing to have a traditional relationship where the man is the man and is leading the household or leading or guiding the relationship, that it's being done under duress, and that's not the case. There are women who choose that, who you do that whether or not you say it as a BDSM or dominant submissive or whatever. You do that when you go to a church and you get married under the banner of God. It's the same thing, but if it doesn't look like what we're used to, it's wrong. It's not, but it's, it is what it is. And it is what it is.
You're spot on. I mean, and it's interesting because I did many years ago a thesis on media, the role of media, like in the 60s and 70s. And so I took a real close look at the feminist movement. And for me, it was really enlightening because I saw how it destroyed or contributed to destroying relationships between Black women and men. A lot of people recognize, and that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah,
but the feminist movement was not for Black women. It was not for us.
It's amazing you say that.
We saw a vehicle, and so we became part of it because we thought that maybe it could help, restore some things and that there would be unity among women. But as we've seen in this country, particularly as people tend to vote, white women, especially white educated women in general, do not vote with the same values and focuses of Black women. So
they vote to protect their interest.
The white patriarchy. And so when we look at those things and we put that into context and we apply it to this, it's just, yes, Tiffany, I support womanism, but this whole feminist movement it wasn't for us. And it really has adversely impacted the design of marriage, because now it's seen as when you hear women say that, I respect my husband, or even I hear people make fun of women who say, I'm gonna check with my husband on something. It's like, well, you can make a decision yourself. It's like, do you not understand the strength that reveals when you say that I'm willingly yielding to this person? Because first of all, I always say to people, you shouldn't marry somebody if you can't yield to them. That's a whole nother problem. It's like, if you can't submit, and that's for the man and the woman, and men submit to their wives as well. It just looks different by providing and by taking into consideration her needs and her feelings. That is how a man is submitting to his woman. But that's a whole nother subject. But I want to go back to what Tiffany said a few comments ago. And I'm reading her comment. Here's my take on why men don't want to commit. Like Jackie's situation, I think that men have to see how being married is more beneficial for them than being single. But I've also noticed that divorced women move that way too. Many are willing to date, but don't want to be married again. This is because, for the most part, marriage adds to men, but takes from women if you don't work to conscientiously keep this from happening. I'm speaking generally. And I have read statistics that married women have a shorter life expectancy than, as opposed to men who are married. They live longer. Women who are married have shorter life expectancies. And I think it goes to Tiffany's point, because unfortunately, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the responsibility in the household, and emotionally, especially Black women, we are caring for our spouses, partners, our kids, everybody in the family, people in the community. It's just the expectation. You've got that strong Black woman dynamic going on. Whereas men, a lot of times there's not that type of expectation or drive. They have to take care of themselves in the household, and it's killing women more. And so it's so interesting that so many of us desire marriage when we know the work. And I think that speaks to the nurturer, the inherent nurturer of us. And I speak to and I criticize this new feminist movement, because I think it is eroding our desire to nurture. Like, it's making women think that you can't be soft, that you can't respect. Like Tiffany said, that's called respect. Mutually submitting to your partner, that's called respect. And we're in this whole movement now where it's like, no, I'm a bad bitch, I'm independent, I don't need these men, this or that. No, boo. No. You submit to him and he's supposed to submit to you. That is the natural order of things. So how do we fix that?
I'm gonna give you a sneak peek now. My first episode is gonna be called The Hard Reset.
Okay.
We need a hard reset in our community. I'm gonna go deeper into it on my show, but for this particular conversation, the hard reset on how we communicate.
June 1, George premiering Talking My Shit, and the first episode is going to focus on the hard reset. Heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
So make sure you're following him on Facebook and YouTube at Jorge Tostadas, so that you will be able to join his live when he premieres on Tuesday, June the 1st. Okay, back to it. I got you, brother.
Right on. But that's where all of this is coming from. The hard reset basically is going to talk about how we're just so sporadic in everything. We're too divided and too conquered. And I've been having conversations and even posting certain things on Facebook about dividing and conquering and all of that. We're divided, and we got to have a hard reset to get everything back to its natural order. We're so out of order right now. And everything that you just got through saying and what Ms. Greely said, all I kept thinking about in my head was, this is why the hard reset conversation is going to be so good, because it's not just relationships. It's our parenting, Hard Reset is going to talk about relationships, parenting, how we view ourselves as a society, neighborhoods, everything. It's going to be a very big, broad topic. I don't even think I'll be able to cover it in one episode, but that's where we're going with this. Right now, we're just all we're talking about right now is no disrespect to us having this conversation, but it's redundant. You know, it's like, at what point do we start to build the solution on what our problems are? And yeah, we've done research. You know, you did the research on the. Okay, I was gonna say, did we lose the host?
I think that, well, it's like storming, so I think maybe that's what it is. Like, because I can hear it going crazy outside, but we're back together again.
Okay, we're good. But it's I kind of lost my train of thought, but basically it is we have to get on one page. We constantly having a conversation and we just keep looping around. But you know, I'm talking back and forth with you, and we not you specifically, but I'm talking back and forth, and we're saying something, but we're not saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? And if you really just sit back and listen to most people talk, okay, you didn't talk about the problem for 15 minutes, but what's the solution? You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm a very solution-based person. I keep talking about that as well. So in the solution that I keep coming to is we all got to do a self-check. And that's pretty much what the hard reset is mostly talking about. You got to look into yourself to see if you know exactly what right and wrong is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many people are out here doing wrong, and I go back to my mirror conversation. I can sit up here and tell you I did whatever, but when I go to the mirror, it's like, no, you're wrong, and your conscience should eat you up. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point we got to start, you know, holding the accountability to where your conscience is I don't know what happened to our conscience. You know, married people want to do all type of shit that they know in their mind is not right, and because they hear it in a song, it all of a sudden becomes okay, or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm kind of going all over the place, but you see, you get where I'm going with this.
It's all connected.
Huh?
It's all connected.
Everything is all connected, and it's like this laptop I'm on. If one wire is disconnected, it fucks up the whole computer. And then you got to go in here and do all this diagnostic to find this one wire. There's one little bitty wire that was cut, and that fixes the whole situation. So I guess I just said in closing that whole statement up is we've been pulling on a thread, and now that thread is just becoming, you know, we've been pulling, and you know, the sweater's damn near gone. And if we don't hurry up and do something about it and start knitting this sweater back together, it ain't gonna be no sweater. And that sweater in metaphoric terms is us. We're not going to exist. You know what I'm saying? So it's bigger than this conversation. It's really big. And if we don't do something about it, if we don't start taking our self accountability and start being honest with ourselves, then we're only adding to the problem. You see what I'm saying? Every individual that knows that they're not doing anything to help the situation has to know that they're adding to the problem. And I kind of went all over the place because I was somewhere else with it. But my point in all this is we have to communicate better. And I'm gonna go back to the pregnant young lady and the picture. Whatever the hell they've been talking about, obviously the dude ain't been listening, because if she got to get on her knee and and propose to you pregnant, I need to have a talk with you, bro. What the fuck is going on over in your household? What kind of man are you? Who raised you? And that's a question that we need to be asking more often. Who the fuck raised you? Because we need to see where you came from, because where you came from has to be, trying to find a nice way to put it, fucked up.
We got to understand but not necessarily. I mean, because so many of us are carrying traumas, and we need to understand what people are struggling to overcome. Because trauma is so normal in our communities. A lot of times it's just, this is the normal way. And in the defense of that man, maybe he told her, I'm not ready to get married, but she was like, I want to, and I'm going to do this. Because sometimes you have some women who they hard-headed.
A lot of soft asses out here. I be feeling on them, I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh.
What I was thinking about when you were talking, I agree there's a need for a reset to a certain degree. And I think 2020 was part of that. This larger reset in general. But when I think about reset, well, what are we resetting to?
Yes.
That's the conversation that we need to have. That's
because
why
we aren't a monolith, right? We are, if we want to reset to, to what? There are those of us who are Africanist, and we're like, that's natural order. And so we may be, Africans living in America, or we may be Black Africans identifying as, as Black Americans living, identifying as Africans. What are we resetting to? What ideology, what belief, what society are we resetting to? And I think that if taking 2020 as an example, it wasn't so much resetting back to a particular type of society, but more so to connectedness, and whatever that looks like. 2020 brought families together. It caused people to have to slow down. It caused people to have conversations that they didn't have or refused to have. It made people really do some deep self-evaluations to say, okay, I thought I wanted this, but now I realize I really wanted this. We're not all going to think the same. We may not all want to have the same type of lifestyle or but what is it that we're resetting to? And if that reset is more internal, I get that. But to say resetting to fix a problem or to be a solution to what?
I got you. I'm glad you asked. So here we go. You're gonna make me put some of my show into this show, and I'm okay with that. No, it's okay. It's okay. I gotta answer that question. There's plenty to it, so it's not like I'm gonna give the whole show away. But check it out. Okay. When you take your phone in, you got all these apps on your phone. You done put too much shit on your phone to where now your phone is just going haywire. You take it into the store, and they say, "Oh, you just need to have a hard reset." So they take all the shit out your phone, and then you go back into your phone and you start putting stuff back in. Now, when I say hard reset, I'm talking about we as a collective have to come together and have a conversation about what we want and how we want to do things, because right now, Black America is just, we don't work together at all. On every level, we dissing each other. On every level, we at war with everybody in the world and ourselves. We're imploding. All right. So when you say what are we resetting to, we're resetting to, first of all, learning how to love each other and ourselves enough to respect each other and respect ourselves enough to understand that we have to have some sort of unity. Because I remember I was talking about the thread. We keep pulling on the thread. If we don't start trying to figure out how we're gonna put this goddamn thread back to the sweater, we need to get some knitters. We need to get some sewers. We need to start putting people in position to where, hey, if this is what you love, why don't you do what you love? Why don't we push each other into what they love more, and instead of what we think somebody else should be doing? Why don't we just, and don't get me wrong, you're right. Everybody's not going to see this eye to eye, but we have to start learning how to respect each other. So when you say, what are we resetting to? We're resetting to basics like love and respect. And it's some internal things. I'm not going to go too deep into it right now. It's a lot of internal, but then that internal has to become external, because if it doesn't become external, then no other way to say it, you're just going to continue to be part of our problem individually. So the hard reset is more of a conversation of a collective. We got to have a roundtable conversation. And I understand it's not going to be one roundtable conversation, but we have to start coming to grips with, okay, we're going to respect our Christians, our Black Christians. We're going to respect our Black so-and-sos. We're going to respect our young. We're going to respect our old. we don't have that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like I cursed in front of an older lady yesterday, and the young lady that was there said, "Oh, she cool," and I was like, "No, I have respect for my elders." You see what I'm saying? It's like we have to come to an agreement that we're going to all stick to respecting our elders, and we're not going to allow anybody in our community or anybody from another community to disrespect. And we have to have the elders understand that you have to give respect to earn it. So we got to get back to the basics is what the answer to your question is. What are we getting back to? We're getting back to the basics. We got too much shit going on, and we're not being in our basic element enough to where our natural instincts are being more of the driver, but more of our emotions of how we feel or what we want are being the driver of us, of our avatars. I'll just call it an avatar. So that's the if I can't answer it better than that, you're just gonna have to check the show out.
And it sounds like I agree with Tiffany. It sounds like it's a restart rather than a reset, because what I heard you say a lot of times was that we're not doing this or we've never done that. And so it doesn't sound like it's a reset as much as it is like a restart, a reimagining, a reinvention.
And I call it the hard reset because I was using the phone analogy, and that's the phone analogy of what. Okay. And that's why I went ahead and used the phone in this conversation, because that's what happens. You got too much shit going on in your phone. You take it to the store, they hard reset it. Now your phone now you have to start reprogramming things. And you start putting things back into your phone, and then there's certain shit that you just know, I'm not putting this back in my phone because last time I watched Pornhub, I had all kind of shit, so I'm not going to watch Pornhub on this phone. Last time I downloaded that game, it gave me a virus. I'm not going to fuck with that game no more because I don't want no more viruses. I mean, just keeping it a buck. It's funny, but that's real shit. You know what I'm saying? That's keeping it a buck.
I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I think what's awesome is we need your platform, and it will be a wonderful and much needed addition to the platforms that are existing. Because what I see actually is that Black people are doing that. You know, Black people that I don't think that I can recall for a long time seeing so many collectives coming together. You know, and I think really being able to highlight them and introduce people to where those collectives are. I mean, we've got, you know, Black wealth groups that are educating people about financing, investing. We've got people teaching folks about real estate. You know, we have Jackie empowering women, you know, to embrace their full and true authentic selves. And so I think that movement is
sexuality.
Yes. And because it is part of who we are. It's all part of who we are.
Exactly.
I mean, Jermaine Williams said, yeah, all this is real. I mean, and I think that we do need to address the problems, but we also have to acknowledge the progress where it is, because we need to celebrate every milestone of victory, because that's essential, because it's not all bad. It's not. Right. Because we're here, people say all the time that Black women don't get along. And I'll tell you, since I launched On Her Terms Defined, like Jackie and I didn't know each other before I started doing that. And I reached out and she was so gracious with her time and wisdom and chatted with me. And we've continued collaborating. We are going to do even more collaborations. And I mean, George, you have been my brother since like high school. And so Black women and men, we are loving on each other, and it's not all like we trying to screw each other either. So I want to put that out there, because there's this narrative that it's all dysfunctional, and that's not the case, because I'm seeing like Black wealth generation and support all around.
And to add to that, Charlene, I'm sorry to cut you off. We have to be intentional. So if you notice in these spaces, it's very intentional. It's for Black women. It's for Black men. It's for Black people. Yeah. If you are not Black, you can be an ally, but don't put your, don't come up in these boards with your opinion.
Just watch.
Like, people are being very protective of Black spaces, of being intentional and saying, because I think we're so easy, we're so quick to be kumbaya and to let everybody in on our cause, and then we get left the bones. And I think that's what's different in this day and age, or this, at least in this time, we are being very intentional about this is Black space. For
Yeah.
Blacks, by Blacks. You know, if you don't identify, you can contribute to the cause. We'll take your money,
Absolutely.
but you're going to have to pay for my labor. You're not going to just come up in these spaces and get free information, use people for think boards and think spaces, and what do Black people think about this, and you're not going to pay us for our time and our energy? No. And I think that is what's different in this time as opposed to our ancestors who are deep in the civil rights movement, where it was like that wasn't like they needed to have other people to make their cause seem worth it or legit. But now this new energy of, or this generation of Black people are like, well, we've taken what you taught us and we're making it our own. And in that way, we are strong enough to make it happen. We don't need these other people to validate us.
So the blueprint is there because people forget, like Black people had thriving, highly profitable,
Communities.
successful communities, not more than one. We did that. The blueprint is there. It's been done before, and so many of us are starting to do that again. And so that's what I love about the collective that you're about to build, George. Is that's starting that movement, because we got to have those discussions and bringing them to the table. It's essential.
You might see me on this show crying because I mean it's something so I'm passionate about this. Like this is I got a 12-year-old son, and you know my thing is I'm teaching him. First of all, I tell him every day, or you know we talk about this often, but you know we got this list. First thing on the list is I love you no matter what. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. I don't care how mad at you I am, how much you disappoint me. Anything you do, I love you. Second thing is be better than me. Now, I'm not going to run the rest of the list down, but the be better than me part is me taking accountability for what I know I'm doing or have done and trying to teach him better. Okay, so whatever you do, son, you got to do it to the best of your ability. But the number one thing you got to do is you got to be honest about it. So my son won't, hopefully, you know, I'm doing my best to lead him to the water. Hopefully he drinks it, but he should not be part of the issue in the dating pool because I'm teaching him this level of honesty that you have to have, and you have to be able to see the red flags and blah, 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 blah. And you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not giving, and I say this because I don't want y'all to take this the wrong way. The other thing that I teach him is I don't teach you what to think. I teach you how to think. So he's learning how to have his own mind of knowing right from wrong and how to handle it. Because that's another thing we don't teach in our community enough, how to handle your emotions. A lot of people get mad at shit and then it's like, but what are you mad for? And that's not even a level 10 mad. That's more of a level 3, but you done took it to 10 for what? You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I say all that to say it's a lot of things that I'm trying to instill into him, and in the conversations that I intend to have, is you're gonna hear the genuine honesty coming from me. Like I know that I have done some shit out here, and I put some energy into the world, and I'm definitely trying my best, and will put everything I got into trying to change it for the betterment of my people, because I don't want him to continue to have to deal with. He's going to, but I don't want my grandkids and great grandkids to, like, when the fuck is racism gonna end? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's certain shit that's just still here, but we have to learn how to deal with it. And the first thing we have to learn how to deal with is each other. And so I'm starting there. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know that I'm gonna actually change the world, but you know, I might spark the mind that does. I don't know. Pac said it. It sounded good.
When I was thinking about what you were saying, George, it was that, and to kind of go back to the premise of our discussion was intimacy and relationships. That one thing that I know we've talked about it in different ways, but one thing that I think is a thread in what intimacy really is. And I think with you starting with your son to say, I love you, and for him to hear you say it, and for you to hug him and kiss him and show him good touch, right? And to teach him what bad touch is from a man and from a woman, right? That's intimacy. That talking through your emotion, talking through your feelings, that's intimacy. We don't know how to do that. We really just know how to do the physical.
Wow, which is why the hard reset is a very good conversation.
Yeah, like we just know how to. We typically know how to do the physical.
Oh yeah.
And so when we talk about being intimate with someone, when we talk about, you know, being honest with our feelings, we didn't get the foundation in our families on how most of us, some of us, a lot of us didn't get that foundation in our families that we saw our parents talking to one another or kissing and hugging one another in a way that expressed their love without having it to be like, why don't you go get a room? You know what I mean? Like we don't know how, we haven't really set that foundation that says this is intimacy. This we if we do these things with one another, it won't escalate to 10. We can manage a 3, or we can help you walk through bringing you down from 10. Just by saying I love you and not having it to be like I have to show you with my body that I love you. I'm showing you that I love you with my words, with my actions, with being honest, with being true, with being kind, with, you know, supporting you, with helping you. Like a reset to me, or a restart, is learning what intimacy is in the right way. And that's even for myself. Like it's taken me some moments to be like, that's uncomfortable. Well, why is it uncomfortable? You know? So I just want to kind of piggyback on that part of a deeper thread to me as we talk about intimacy and then how we want to see things change, and why, you know, this woman was proposing to her man. Like, we don't know what intimacy is, and we confuse it with love and lust.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying that, Jackie. I know we're getting close to 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock Eastern time. So I want to wrap us up.
I don't know time anymore since this pandemic, so it's just whatever time it is.
I'm like, I had a rough night, so I'm thriving off of like 4 hours of sleep. So it's like I'm about to crash after this. I know we've got George debuting Talking My Shit on Tuesday, June 1st. Time to be announced. Everybody, make sure you're following Jorge Tostadas on Facebook and Instagram. And Jackie, do you have anything coming up that you can share with our audience? And you can follow Mirror Vision Coaching on Instagram.
Yes, I am at Mirror Vision Coaching, Instagram and Facebook, and I am launching a sexuality empowerment coaching program. It is a one-on-one program where you work with me from either one. What?
They get to work with you, huh?
They get to work with me.
Yeah.
They get to work with me.
What is this you wearing here? Is this a I see the little fur around the neck.
It's a lace robe. It's a lace robe. I'm all about, you know, feeling feminine, and you know, and so I can't just wear a t-shirt, right? I gotta be comfortable, right? So
you have to be sexy.
Yes, you know, it's a nice little lace robe with my leggings on, so you know. But my coaching program is one-on-one, so that you're not, so you can feel comfortable and be able to unpack in an intimate setting. You're not in a group setting. We can work one time up to 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or an entire year. And so you can DM me on Instagram or Facebook. I can send you I can send you my information about that, but I'm really excited about that because it's something that's taking a life of its own. I work with men and with women. I don't typically, my audience is women, but I've gotten men who have been like, so do you take men to talk to? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So the program is open to men and women. And so the Sexuality Empowerment Coaching Program is live.
Yeah. And it's virtual. So anyone in the States or the world, anyone around the world. Okay.
Pretty much. It is virtual.
Yes.
It's virtual. We meet weekly on Zoom, depending on your package. We meet weekly for 75 minutes. You get activities. You get coaching from me. You set your goals for what you want, because I think a lot of people confuse what sexuality is, and sexuality isn't just necessarily on having better sex. Like, that's a part of it, but it's really doing some self-work and to help you get to
do you teach me like the right amount of lotion to put in my hands? Like what do you teach men? I'm sorry.
I don't teach you the right amount of lotion. However, for example, I actually
do you want a master class on masturbation? Maybe that's something we need to team up and put and organize.
We can do that, but we can do that, but I think with
the lotion.
With some of the questions I'm getting from men, and I've had to go into coaching mode with former potential lovers, but erectile dysfunction is very high on men's list, and that comes into play when they're not able to satisfy their partner. And so they start to take that, personally, like, it's not you, babe, it's really me, but they don't know that it's their diet. They don't know that. And the thing with erectile dysfunction is that those, blue pills and elephant trunk at, 7-Eleven is not going to help you. It's not going to help you. It's actually, erectile dysfunction is primarily muscle memory. And it's doing techniques to build the muscle back up into the penis and not relying on the medication, because that can give you heart issues. It can do a whole lot of other things. So talking through the issues that men have about not being able to satisfy their partner, because that they take that in internally, but then also teaching them, like, okay, you need to go get a pump. Here are the type of pumps you need to get, and this is what you need to do in order to have a longer erection,
the Austin
for a longer period of time, and then starting to build the muscle back up, and not on a temporary fix, which pills do. Right. So that's what some men have been coming to me, or I've been coaching men through. But so yeah, we can definitely have a masturbation masterclass, but part of that will have to be erectile dysfunction, because that is what a lot of men, young men, like
in their
30s, early 40s, are dealing with.
Diet, which leads to high blood pressure, and a lot of those medications contribute to that. And stress.
Yeah.
So, I want to make sure everybody knows where to follow y'all before we wrap up again. So Jorge Tostadas on Facebook and Instagram. Follow Jacqueline Greely at Mirror Vision Coaching on Instagram and Facebook. We like your shirt, George.
I'm promoting.
Be easy cookies. Do you ship?
She does ship.
Okay.
Yeah, she does ship. She was on there. She wouldn't. Where'd she go?
Did she?
That's Janelle Squeaky Whiting. These are her cookies. She do cookies.
Okay. Make sure you put her info in the comments so that we can, and people can access that. And Jackie, if you can add your website link to the comments later as well, so that people can go there about the coaching. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the audience for joining us. Thank you to all y'all who are going to watch the replay. Share with your friends. Make sure you're following Jorge and Jackie and she.confidential on Facebook and Instagram. We're in the middle of season 2. New episodes are dropping every Thursday. You can watch on your favorite podcast app, or you can watch on YouTube. My name is Charlene Ketchum. Thank y'all for joining us. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you, Tiffany, for all those great comments and everything. Good night. Good night, Matria. And good night, Janelle. And good night, Jermaine. And for the people whose names I don't see.
Oh, damn, I missed my boy Jermaine in there. Jay Will, what's happening?
Yes.
I wasn't
Good night, y'all.
All right, y'all.